All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. We've got 6 people present right now. I always try to express that I do very much appreciate those that come to my sessions. It is a lot easier when there's a couple people here to talk to than to talk to an empty room, and I've done more than my fair share of talking to an empty room. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. I am Miss Mullet. Yes, mullet, like the haircut, like the fish. The mullets are regaining popularity these days, much to my dismay. Um, I have been with Georgia Virtual School since 2015, January of 2015. So I think that makes me 5.5 years. 20, yeah, 6.5 years. So a while. I have taught American Lit every single semester except for the first one. And I've taught summer 4 or 5 times. I can't remember. I think it's 5. I've taught a variety of either A or AB. It's been AB pretty much exclusively for the last 3 or 4 years. So I'm not saying all that to toot my own horn or to be all prideful or anything. It's to prove to you that I know this course. Okay. If you have questions, you need to bring them to me as quick as you can. Um, I'm going to make this clear multiple times. I tried to make this clear in my email. I'm going to make it clear to you now. I'm going to try to make it clear in my teacher. The fastest and easiest way to get a hold of me is texting. I have a Google Voice number. I do not use my actual cell phone number. In fact, the area code for the phone number isn't even my area. It's the other side of the state. So it's completely safe. I don't ever delete anything from Georgia Virtual School. I mean, I've got messages in there that are literally from 5, 6 years ago. And I do that on purpose. I do that so that you and your parents feel safe, that I don't delete anything. So if ever something happens and we need to bring a conversation up, we've got it. It's all there. I don't ever delete it. Um, so that makes communication easier and safer. I'm going to go ahead and get started with the presentation. For some unknown reason, I was not able to get the presentation loaded. This is not the first time this has happened to me. I try to load the presentation the way I'm supposed to, and it doesn't work. So I'm going to just share my screen. We're used to that, this world of living in Zoom now. That number is going to be available. I'll give it to you in a little bit. I'll have a slide a little later on. It's also available in my teacher information page, as well as in the signatures of my email. So it's pretty much everywhere. But yeah, no, I'll make sure it's super, super available. I would appreciate it if you go ahead and save that, put it under my name. And just in case I forget to say this later, especially the first time that you're texting or emailing me, make sure you introduce yourself. Tell me who you are. Okay, you don't need to tell me what class you're in, summer, AB, whatever, because I only have one course this summer. But there are 25 of you, at least for now. There might end up being more. So the first time you text me, do not assume that I have your number, because we don't actually have student cell phone numbers available to teachers through PowerSchool. Yeah. So when you text me for the first time, do just be sure to tell me what your name is. Also, do be clear, if you're asking me about a particular assignment, please tell me what that assignment is called. All of you that took the acknowledgement quiz today are going to be on the same PACE plan, but somebody might change their PACE plan. Everybody that starts tomorrow is going to be on a different set of PACE plans. So don't just text me and say, about today's assignment, is it this, 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 this? You need to tell me what the name of the assignment is. Don't just say today's assignment, or is that test due today, or anything like that, because we're going to end up with umpteen million different PACE plans. And I cannot mentally keep track of all of that. I do actually go check PACE plans before I say any answer a question in regards to that. So just in case I forget to say that later. All right, I'm going to pull up screen share. momentarily.
Oh, hi.
Hi. Okay, here we go.
Is that Zach's midnight trash?
No, not yet. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I'm at school. They're changing the trash bags. All right, if you can just give me a quick yes or no that you can see the Welcome to Georgia Virtual screen on my screen, on your screen. All right, we'll check that. Gracias. Wonderful. Amazing. Okay, good. All right, let's get started. The meat and potatoes, and then we'll take a tour of the screen of the course later. All right, this is American Literature AB. This is the summer course. I'm not going to read this intensely. I have already gone over the fact that I have been with Georgia Virtual School and taught this particular course multiple times. I was also one of the guinea pigs that helped iron out the issues when we moved from Brightspace to Canvas. That happened last summer. Last summer was the first course that we had in Canvas. We previously used Brightspace. We switched over to Canvas. There's a lot of things about Canvas that I like a lot better, except for that one summer because it was horrifying and hellacious to get things to work correctly at first. I had to redo the PACE plans. I don't know how many times because they kept getting messed up. I literally cried. But the lessons that they learned and that we learned resulted in multiple policies that got changed. And now they're better. And everything's better now. We're good. We're good. It's all good. All right. So here's that. Ooh, that is not the right number. Hold on. There we go. That's the number I want you to use. There we go. That's the correct number. All right. Email is listed first, and email does come through, and I do try to respond to that as fast as possible. However, every once in a while, Outlook likes to unsync itself from my phone. And while that doesn't sound like a huge issue, just sounds like a first world problem, what that means is I don't necessarily know when that happens, and therefore emails don't always come through super quickly. Well, I mean, they come through, I just don't necessarily see them, because if they don't sync up, I don't see it. And I carry my phone. I use my phone exclusively when I'm not actually at the computer. Anyways, so there's that number. Go ahead and save it. Do it now. Pull out your phone. Save it. Your parents can have it. Your facilitators can have it. But that's pretty much it. Don't give it to your little sister. Don't give it to your little brother. None of that. I'm married. I'm not looking for anyone. So don't give out my number. All right, my hours of availability, they may seem short, but these are going to be the only hours that I'm going to be able to actually get on the phone with somebody or get into Jigsaw, get into a virtual classroom with somebody. I will, however, be able to communicate in the morning, but I am for the month of June teaching Summer Academy for 4 days a week at my school. So I have students in my classroom for from the hours of 9 to noon and up until before that point, I'm taking care of my own children. I have 4 of them that I have to get to daycare in the morning because my husband leaves much earlier than me. So please, 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 please do not call me before 1. You can call me after 1 if it's something major. Like I said, texting is the fastest way to get a hold of me, and I can answer texts when I have students in the room. You know, if they're working on something that they don't need my full attention for, I can answer a text message. Most of the time I can answer those questions without actually going into the course because, like I said, I know the course really well and I know George Virtual School. But if it's a specific question about PACE plan or something like that, you might need to give me until 1 o'clock when I can actually sit down at my computer and go look at something specific. So my number is a Google Voice number. If you call it, it does not connect directly to my phone. It asks you to say your name first and then connects you directly. This helps weed out the people that are looking to extend my car warranty, which I don't need. Thank you. Go away. So it helps weed out the telemarketers. It helps keep my number more private and safe. So you will just say your name, and then it'll connect you through like a normal phone call. It does come through to my cell phone, but again, it does not really reveal my actual cell phone number. You can text it just like any number. In fact, I can text it with it on my computer, which means that I can easily access communication records, which, like I said, is much safer for everyone involved. I keep everything. So if there's an issue, I have communication records of that, and it's for everybody's safety and it's for everyone to benefit. Like I said, I don't delete anything. So if you introduce yourself in the first text and I don't know who you are when you text me, 3 days later, I'm going to scroll up and find that introduction so I know who I'm talking to. Especially during school hours, which is 9 to 12 during the summer. That's when I'm face to face with students in my room. I prefer not. Please don't call me during those hours. I leave my phone on specifically for my children. I leave my phone ringer on. So if their daycare calls and I need to go pick someone up because they've been injured or whatever, I leave my phone on in school. I love my job. I love my students, but my children come first. So I don't turn my ringer off in school. Okay, we're good with that one. You can find information about your course on the syllabus page of your course. You can find that on the left-hand side. It's not one of the main buttons on the home page. It is on the left. You can find the syllabus, and that's going to tell you about the legal mumbo jumbo. That's going to be the standards. That's going to be the percentages of the different categories of assignments. It's going to be that kind of stuff. The one thing that I definitely want you to make sure you see on that syllabus page is the assignment list. Okay, I highly recommend you print that out and check things off as you go down the list. The only thing that I have not marked on that sheet, and it's only because I couldn't figure out how to edit it until recently and I have not been able to do it yet, is the optional assignments. Especially during the summer, the optional assignments list is actually pretty long. It's helpful for you. I took a lot of things off. So what you should do is go into the grade book and look at the assignments that are marked in the optional section. That means that you don't have to do them, but if you do them, it technically counts as extra credit. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we get in there. I have tried to put labels in the module list, but I think I missed some because I took more out for this summer than I've ever taken out before. And I did that on purpose for your benefit and for mine, of course. Let's just be real. Okay, so the calendar is helpful for you because the fortunate thing and one of the nice things about using Canvas instead of Brightspace is you don't have to use paper calendars. If you've been with us for a while, you probably used paper calendars when we were at Brightspace. Now it is completely digital and the calendars sync across the different courses that you're in. However, you will not have your PACE plan activated until after you take the acknowledgement form quiz, the AFQ, as it's fondly called. This recording is also tied into another quiz, which is one of the first assignments that you have, or attending this class. Once you have completed the acknowledgement form quiz, your PACE plan becomes activated, and then it will show up on your calendar. I am going to do my absolute greatest best to check that every single day, as I am required to do for the first week or so of the class. However, if for some reason your PACE plan does not pop up on your calendar correctly, please, please, please do not just wait. Text me. Okay. Once you take the acknowledgement form quiz, it's supposed to be active for you, the PACE plan, within 24 hours. And if it's not, I might need to republish something. It's usually just literally a 5-second correction. It's not a big deal. One of the things that I would like to encourage you to do is to install the Canvas app on your phone. The reason why that's a good thing is because you'll get notifications when things are graded. I think, don't quote me on this, you'll also get notifications if someone reposts your discussion post. I don't know that for sure. But for the most part, it's important because especially if you're waiting on me to grade your rough draft so you can finish your final draft, that notification will let you know as soon as possible when that rough draft is graded, and then you can go ahead and get started on your final draft. So make sure that you check that calendar regularly and check it fairly frequently, because if for some reason we need to change your PACE plan, your calendar will get updated. So what you need to do each day and the assignments you need to turn in are detailed in your course calendar. Now, this is something that you need to know. This is an English language arts course. Look at this next part. The course content that precedes the assignments when you access the modules page of your course should be carefully reviewed before turning in any assignments. Okay. Now, for example, one of the essays that you will be writing is on the Crucible. The Crucible is not the first module. I think it might be the second, potentially the third even, but that's the first one. Now, obviously, because it's written on a play, you're going to want to read that text first. That means that you need to follow the calendar, not just for the assignments that are listed, but also the content that is not listed on the calendar. Your calendar would not really be usable if every single item that you needed to read and every single little practice quiz, little, built-in practice quiz, whatever, was listed on your calendar. You would have too much, especially if you're taking 2 or 3 courses. You would have too many items on each day of the calendar because it gets super specific in the content. You're reading this 1-page poem and now this 1-page poem or whatever. So be super duper aware that the content is set up somewhat like a book, and you're going to have pages of text in between different assignments. Plan ahead for that. Be aware of that there's going to be, of course, reading you need to do before you turn in an assignment. Here's our summer late work policy. If you have been with us for a while, the late work policy gets edited, sometimes even semester by semester, to kind of go along with what is needed, what works and what is needed, and what, for example, our COVID policies were very different than they are now. We're starting to tighten things up a little bit more. So you need to check your course calendar to know when assignments are due. And obviously you're going to want to be aware that certain assignments do have more work than they might be able to do in 1 or 2 hours. Some assignments might be done in half an hour. But obviously an essay, when you see that coming, you're going to want to start on that at least a couple days ahead of time to give yourself the time to properly write it. So don't just log in, open your calendar and see what's due that day. Look ahead. Okay, so just because you misread your calendar, that is not an excuse to turn in an essay late and therefore need extra time. It's not going to be granted. You need to use the calendar correctly. Look ahead, see what's coming. In summer, late assignments will automatically incur a 20% grade reduction for each day, including Saturdays and Sundays that the assignment is late. You have 5 calendar days to turn an assignment in for a late grade. For example, you have an essay that's due on Tuesday, June 16th. You turn the essay in, however, on Saturday, June 20th. that essay will incur a 80% reduction from the grade earned on the essay. The essay is 4 days late, and thus 20 times 4 is 80%. Okay, if you've been with us for even more than one summer semester, you know that the policies during the summer are different, and that's because the summer semester moves exceedingly much faster. Okay, during the school year, our semesters can be up to like 18 weeks long, but during the summer, it's only 6. And we don't want you to get behind to the point where you have absolutely no hope of catching up. So do remember, this is an AB course. It is an entire year of work completed in 6 weeks. Okay, we have definitely reduced the list. When you look at that assignment checklist, you'll see that we have chopped out 2 entire units. The Huckleberry Finn unit has been chopped out, and the Contemporary Prose unit chopped out. Not only that, I cut out more assignments during the summer than I do during the school year. So that list has been reduced a lot. That being said, you do still need to keep on top of it. Okay. If you plan to go on vacation, if you know you have surgery coming, if you know anything that you know that's coming up ahead of time that you know you're going to need time off for, you need to plan for that ahead of time. Catching up is not something that we usually do here. Of course, there are emergencies. All right. Of course, you fall and break your leg, or you wake up one morning and you've got the flu and you're riding the toilet all day. Pardon my French. That happens. Okay. But it is your responsibility to work ahead for the things that you can anticipate. Technical difficulties are not usually an excuse for late work. You need to have access to a computer to complete your work. You can also keep in mind that there are such a thing as backup computers. Public library computer, neighbor's computer, friend's computer, for example. You can also access many of your courses on mobile devices. I don't recommend writing essays on mobile devices, but you can certainly participate in quizzes and tests, as well as discussions on your phone. You can do reading on your phone. So if you, have a desktop computer, but you prefer to read from your bed, take it on your phone. That works. You are responsible for managing your time and for ensuring that you have the proper technology in place to complete your courses. Contact me immediately if you're experiencing technical difficulties, and we'll work through it. For example, a couple years ago, Hurricane Matthew decided it wanted to totally clobber up several of our students, and their internet was just gone. We worked with them. Of course we did. But the student that had a busted computer for the entire semester and never really bothered to get it fixed or to find another option, I'm sorry, she failed. She had definitely plenty of options to pass, but didn't take them. The Student Success site provides resources to make your transition to the online learning environment easier. You can find the Student Success site in 2 places on your course, the homepage or from the help icon on the class resources page. So there are a lot of different resources there that can be helpful for you. I will show you where that is, but I prefer to do that I'll do my course tour in one shot. I do communicate using the Office 365 email that's built into the course, but we also have external Office 365 email. You are usually not permitted. You are typically not permitted to email me from your personal email address. Georgia Virtual School provides you with a Georgia Virtual School email address, and we want you to use it. Not only that, it is good for you to check your Georgia Virtual School email, the Outlook account, on the daily, especially when you submit large assignments, because you will get a submission ticket. If you don't get that submission ticket, it means it probably didn't submit properly. And if you don't go back and try to submit it again, that's on you. Okay? If you don't get the submissions ticket, it means it didn't submit properly, and you are responsible for that assignment not being turned in again to try to amend that issue. Like, we'll even ask you, like, oh, I did turn that in. Did you get a submission ticket? No. There you go. It didn't turn in. It is your responsibility to double check and make sure the technology is working. Okay, so every single one of you has a Microsoft Office 365 suite for free on up to 5 computers and your mobile device that provides Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, and Outlook. It includes 1 terabyte of OneDrive storage, and you can put your assignments in there if you so choose. Everything you need to know about downloading and using Office 365 is in the Student Success site. I highly, highly, highly recommend that you use the OneDrive. And I'll tell you the 2 biggest reasons why. In Office 365, you have free storage of your assignments. Okay, so let's say that during the summer, Grandma takes care of you on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and Auntie Jean takes care of you on Thursdays and Fridays. All right, but you forgot your laptop at Grandma's house. How am I going to do my assignments on Auntie Jean's computer? Well, Office 365 means that you can access your assignments from anywhere. I pretty much exclusively myself use online drives. Like I use Google Drive because that's what I have for my personal email and my face-to-face school email, and Office 365 for Georgia virtual school. The other huge reason why I highly recommend you use Office 365 for your documents is especially if you are a Mac user. If you are an Apple computer user, a lot of the Apple types of documents do not work with Canvas. For example, Pages. Pages does not open in Canvas. So if you submit it in Pages, you get a 0 until you switch it over into something that actually opens, like Word or PowerPoint or a PDF. Okay. If I can't open it and you knew the policy that you can't turn it in Pages, I can't give you a grade until you give me something I can actually open. So that's why I highly recommend that if you're using an Apple computer, if you're using a MacBook, try to use the Office 365 exclusively for your documents so that you don't accidentally turn in a document type that can't be used. Okay, because then you're just going to have to go convert it and then turn it in again. And that's why waste your time. So, and if your laptop crashes, and takes everything with it and it dies, or you're using a school Chromebook and they need it back for some reason or whatever, you've not lost your progress. It's still in your OneDrive. This is a policy I need y'all to pay close attention to. I have this problem just about every semester of students trying to submit assignments to me via email. I'm not allowed to accept them. Okay. I also cannot accept Google links as an assignment. You need to download it as a PDF or a doc and upload it into Canvas. I cannot take a Google link. The reason for that is predominantly because very often the share settings are not set correctly, and they can't actually access it anyways because the share settings are not set correctly. So we don't allow for links at all. And that is one of the biggest reasons that's important for me. You cannot email me your assignments, and you cannot submit a Google link or an Office 365 link to your assignment. It has to be a document. So a doc, a docx, a PPTX, a PDF, an MP3, an MP4, an XLX, not that this is a math course, but still. I do recommend turning things in as a PDF, especially if it's an assignment that is a PowerPoint, because it just usually comes in cleaner. If you turn in a PowerPoint, sometimes the text looks funny. It doesn't save in the correct form, and it just looks weird. So the PDF is less likely to rearrange itself. Okay, one of the first virtual classes I will have will going to be on academic honesty. I will either have that Thursday or Monday. I've not decided that calendar yet. But basically, this should be no surprise to anyone. And I'm going to give you 2 short stories to let you know why it's not worth it. Okay, so do not copy and paste information from the internet and submit it as an assignment to be graded without reference. Do not resubmit an assignment that has been previously submitted in another class. Plagiarized work will result in consequences as described in the student handbook. I won't go over that now, but I will go over that in my next class. Your work should be yours alone, without help from others, unless your teacher gives permission. The detailed explanation of this is in the code of conduct. All right, I'm going to give you 3 examples, actually. One of each of these ways of breaking the rules. Do not copy and paste information from the internet. Okay, it's no surprise to anybody that there are mountains of horrible sites out there that will give you an entire essay. Sometimes the exact same assignment, because students that have been in that course upload their essay and sell it, literally, for other students to go out and download or buy. Now, this past year, I caught one student doing that at least twice. We use what's called Turnitin. Turnitin, those kind of essays do not get past Turnitin. Sometimes I don't even need to use Turnitin. I get to know the way you write very quickly, and I can usually tell. Not always, not perfect, but usually. There are certain assignments that I know that are plagiarized frequently, and I've got turned on those assignments, and I'm checking every single one of them. Okay. I had one student last semester, like I said, at least twice, and then I finally had to call her parents, and she got in big trouble for submitting essays. Another time that happened was a student that turned in an essay, and I look at this thing and I go, wait a minute, I've seen this essay before. Lo and behold, it was an essay that had been uploaded by one of my previous students that had written that essay for me in a course that I had taught, I don't know, a year or 2 previous, had uploaded their essay. And this student in this year, oh, hey, there it is. I don't have to do my work. Downloaded that essay, used it, and I figured it out. I found it. I figured out exactly what happened. You cannot work together with another classmate and submit the same assignments. I've had that happen as well. We figured it out. The other teacher that other student was in, the 2 of us got together and we figured out who had been doing the writing and who had been doing the stealing. If you are taking this course because you failed in the past, or you're taking this course and there is an essay in there that seems very similar to something that you've written in a different class, or maybe you're taking this course and there's an essay that seems very similar to an essay that you wrote in your other school, still can't do that. You cannot use the same assignment more than once. Okay, again, Turnitin will catch that. In the last example, I had a student that went to one of the private high schools, had submitted an essay on a particular novel for that class, submitted the same essay into my class for the same novel that just happened to be in both classes. Turnitin caught it, he got a 0. And his mom came to me later and she's like, I am so sorry, I'm the one that told him to do that. So parents don't know everything. So that's going to be one of the first classes that I have, and I'll go over some more, even more specific examples. I love telling stories of plagiarism because I love catching the cheaters. All right, you can always use the help page to help you find out what it is that you need to know. If it's a Canvas-based question, you can go there first instead of trying to ask me, because you might get an answer faster by using the help page. If you have a policy question, of course, you can check your student handbook. We do prefer Chrome. Chrome is what I use, and a lot of, especially school-issued computers have Chrome on them. Most schools that do issue computers use Chromebooks, in fact, and therefore they use exclusively Chrome. Firefox also functions very well for our course. So there have been some issues that just by switching the browser makes it work better. For example, Opera, Safari, Internet Explorer. I've had students that were using old laptops and were using Internet Explorer and were having trouble accessing the more digitized, more media-based heavy resources in their course, and simply by switching to Chrome or Firefox even, they were able to alleviate that issue. They were able to fix that issue. The Java showed up correctly, all of that. So just keep that in mind, especially if you're using a Mac and you're using Safari. Things may not show up correctly if you're not using Chrome or Firefox. Please use your GABS email to correspond with me. Do not use your personal email. Okay, if you email me a question and you're not using your GABS email, I will probably respond to you using your GABS email address. Check your email every day, Monday through Friday. Your parents will receive notification emails about your grade every Wednesday through our net response system. I submit grades for progress reports every Tuesday. Another important form of correspondence is the feedback I provide in your assignment submissions. Check your grades and read my assignment feedback daily, especially for that rough draft. I leave extensive feedback on essay rough drafts because my goal is to get you to become better writers. So I leave extensive feedback on rough drafts. Not only that, but if you get a 0 on an assignment, you're going to want to read the feedback as to why. Maybe I couldn't open the document. Maybe you didn't understand the question. Maybe I'm giving you an opportunity to do it again. Check your feedback. Okay, that's where I spend the most of my time is feedback. So use the time that I spend wisely for you to save your grade and to save yourself time. I will have 2 sessions per week that are going to be live learning sessions. Sometimes those will be just simple office hours where I will hang out in the virtual classroom waiting for you guys to show up and you come ask questions and then you can go about your merry way. Sometimes I will have actual classes like the plagiarism class. Like I said, that will either be Thursday or Monday. Mondays, your class time will be 1:30. On Thursdays, it will be 4. I believe that's what I said. My office hours are interactive. Most computers these days come with headsets and microphones built in. I do kind of prefer you talk because typing just takes forever. I had a student last year that kept me in a class for 45 minutes because he refused to turn the microphone on and had 1,000 different questions and wanted to type every single one of them. I kid you not, it was 45 minutes, and it could have been probably 15 to 20 minutes if he had actually turned his mic on. This is how your course grade is broken down. Make sure you monitor those grades. If something didn't get turned in correctly, if something came up as plagiarized and I'm giving you a second chance, you need to keep track of that. Your discussions are worth 10%. Your coursework and quizzes are 45, and your texts and projects are 45. That adds up to 100. However, for your absolute final course grade, you will have 80% of that 100 count as your final course grade. That means at the final exam or the EOCT, depending on your situation, it'll be 20% of the final course grade. During summer sessions, I will grade your assignments within 1 school day of submission, Monday through Friday. 0s will be automatically entered for incomplete work. That's a nice thing that Canvas does. I leave feedback for most assignments. I may not necessarily leave feedback on discussions if they don't need to be altered at all. That's a time saver for me, is if you did your discussion the way you're supposed to, because there are so many discussions. You may not get feedback on discussions, but you will get feedback on most, not all, written assignments. Again, if it's something and you did it well and I don't have any corrections for you, you may not get any feedback. And that's not meant as an insult. It's simply meant to save me some time to move on, because the summer courses move really fast for me as well. While we're on the grading page, please keep in mind, this is not made very clear in the discussion in the American Literature course. I don't know why, but discussions are 3 parts. Your original post and 1 and 2 replies to other students. You have to post your original post, and then you need to go reply to 2 other students. Read their original post and then write a thoughtful reply. Your original post only counts for 50% of the grade, then you get another 25% to get a 75 for 1 more reply, and then you get another 25% for another reply, and that's if you do it correctly. You're not just replying with, oh, that was cool. Give them a thoughtful 2-sentence-ish reply. Show that you actually read it and understand. Maybe you disagree. Why? Maybe you agree. Why? Think about those whys. That has to be there. Here I have a comment. Yes. Yep. That trips up students a lot early on in the course, and I try to hit that early. For some reason, that's something that's not made particularly clear in American literature, but it is a 3-part grade. Yes. Yeah, around a little bit. Of course, that brings up every single semester the question of, but I was the first one to post. Does that mean I only get a 50 forever? No. Just go back and look. Okay. For the discussions, the 50s are temporary. You can always go back in a couple of days. If you're working ahead because you've got a medical procedure or a vacation ahead that's coming, check back in a day or two or after your procedure or whatever, and see if other people have posted. So if you're the first to post, you may get a 50, but I always go back and I go through those discussions countless times to make sure I catch every single reply. And before I close out the grades at the end of the school year, I go through every single discussion literally again once more so that I can make sure I have caught every single reply. So you will get your grade. Oh boy. All right, we're gonna go take a look at the course in a minute, but I do want to finish out the PowerPoint. If you're having trouble with Canvas, if you need some help, if you want some navigational tools, the ladies that do the help sessions are awesome, and they have so many tips and tricks for you that are going to make things much better for you to make sure that you don't miss anything, to make sure you use your time wisely. Try to go to one of those sessions. They're awesome. You can access the Canvas help session. There is going to be a link in the homepage, as well as, I think, the homepage of the course as well. I believe that's in the bulletin board information. I'm going to go take a look at a course and give you a little student view. This is what it looks like for me. So, of course, yours is going to look different. I have more buttons than you guys do. All right. So the assignments that you have coming up soon-ish are going to be listed over here on the right. This test student is not signed up for the course, and it does not have a PACE plan, so things are not going to show up correctly for dates for the test student. But that's just literally the way it shows up. So over here is going to be your to-dos that within the next few days, the assignment that you're going to need to complete. This course calendar here is going to sync up between all of your courses. Again, there are no dates on this test student's PACE plan. Otherwise, there would be items on this calendar. So that calendar can be found over here on the homepage of every course. And like I said, it syncs between your different courses. Announcements, these are me. Okay, you open the announcement and you read what it is I had to say. Modules, this is where you're going to start for everything academic. So the Getting Started module gives you a lot of instructions about how to use the courses, and then you have to take the acknowledgement form quiz at the end of it. Like I said, your PACE plan will not populate until this form is finished. Okay, then you attend the Welcome Live Learning session, or you watch the recording, and then you submit the quiz there. So I'm going to post the recording this afternoon. These are discussion and course standards. I'm not so sure that the 2 replies are dictated in this module, but usually by the end of the introduction, we make that pretty clear. And then you start into the content. Here you go. Here's your content. This is what you're learning. So like I said, it's set up like a book where you have a couple of pages of content to read. There might be some poems in there. There might be some short stories. There might be vocabulary practice. There might be practice quizzes, all that kind of stuff. And then it tells you an assignment, and you come back here to the module, you click on the assignment, you complete the assignment, and you go back to the modules and you keep working. Okay, so these pages, it says complete pages 1 through 4 before doing the plagiarism discussion. These pages will not show up on the calendar, only the plagiarism discussion. So that means that you need to be aware that there's going to be content that sets you up and teaches you what you need to know to complete that assignment. Okay, so complete pages 5 through 6, and then complete my oral tradition assignment. Okay, so that means that's going to give you some background information of what you need to do, and it's going to give you the instructions for that assignment. Here's another page. Now we do this quick discussion. Here's a couple more pages. Now you can prepare for the test for that module. Okay, make sure you keep in top of that. This Puritan Legacies, this is where you're going to start with the Crucible, and this is where you're going to start your first essay. Okay, so make sure that you're planning the timing for that, reading it. You have a couple small assignments that are built in there. Some of these are optional, some of them are not. I do need to go through, and I apologize that I have not done this yet. It was something that I usually do, but I forgot. And I try to mark at the beginning of each module which assignments in that module are optional. There are other ways of finding out which assignments are optional, but that is one way that I do find helpful. I will try to do that probably tomorrow afternoon. Okay. I try to give you some space in between the rough draft and the final draft of an essay to give me time to grade that rough draft, because that's where I put most of my time is essay rough drafts. Okay, so this is all set up. Any module that is not required for the summer has already been taken out. You won't even see it. Okay, so don't even worry about that. Here's your course syllabus, where you can find our policies and your standards and the weights of the assignments. Here's your grade book. Okay. This is not necessarily, this is an order of, oh, it's alphabetical. That's weird. Arrange by due date. Well, since there are no due dates for the test student, I can't arrange it by due date. Otherwise, this would show up the way it's supposed to show up. But as you can see here, it doesn't show in the test student. It doesn't show in the test student. Typically, it will show an optional or extra credit category, but it's not here. But also, it would be unweighted. That's not a weighted category. Okay, so there's all the people that are in the course, counting me. Here's access to your Office 365. This is going to where into your OneDrive, your document developer. I can't remember the name of it right now. And also your Office 365 email. You can use Inbox over here to discuss, communicate with me. But unfortunately, this does not notify me straight through to my phone. So if it's in the morning when I'm in summer school, I don't get those notifications until I log in later. So if you have a more urgent question, make sure you text me. Otherwise, I won't be able to see it until I log in. And it's done, but that's the way it is. Okay, I am going to show you the grade book, but only because I have not graded anything yet. This is an auto grade, but so these assignments are shown as non-graded. One thing I do want to show you is, okay, so the assignments that are not required for the summer are unpublished, so you don't see them at all. The first two tests are manually graded. That means it's going to give you a 0 until I manually grade it. And that's because there's a couple questions in there. There's like 1 or 2 questions per test for those first two that I actually have to grade myself. It's unpublished. Let me think. This is none of those projects are. I'm going to find one of the ones that I know is optional and see how it shows up in the grade book. This one. Or advancism in art and music. Let me make sure I have these set up correctly to actually grade as optional. It's not. I'm going to have to fix that. Okay, so the optional assignments are not showing up correctly. So I'm going to put some time into that tomorrow to make sure that those optional assignments do show up correctly. And I may even go through and change the title of the assignments. That might be the best option. And I can't believe I never thought of that before. Wow, I'm brilliant. All right, I'm gonna write myself a note. Here's my Post-its right here. Here's my Sharpie, and I need to fix optional assignments. Okay, and what I usually do with those optional assignments, I don't really care when you submit them. Some teachers do. I don't. I don't care if you wait till the end of the year to submit those optional assignments. You wait till the end of summer, excuse me. I don't care. I don't care. But I'll usually go in and I'll put 10% on the test that is from that same unit. So if you complete the romanticism discussion and you do a good job with it, replies are not always required because you may be the only one that did it. I'm not going to penalize you for that. I'll go and put 10% back on the romanticism test. Okay, I don't offer a ton of extra credit opportunities during the summer because you've got a lot already going on. So, but I do offer one at the end of the year that usually ends up being a test replacement grade, and it is really helpful. It makes a difference for a lot of students. So I'm going to end screen share. Now is an excellent time to start shooting me your questions. What have you thought of while we were going through this? What have you determined so far as an issue or something that you're curious about? Like I said, I will fix the optional assignments. I was unaware that I had not done that yet, but I have written myself a Post-it note and I am going to put time into that tomorrow afternoon. I won't be able to do it today, but tomorrow afternoon I'm going to fix those optional assignments. So 2 of the module exams do have open-ended questions, but it's only 2 of them, and it's the first 2. It's the Native Encounters one, and I think the Puritan Legacies one. I'm not sure about that. The first 2 tests have an open-ended question, and it might just be 1. Sometimes it's 2. It just kind of depends what questions you get pulled from the question bank because it's random. So just 2 of them will need to be manually graded by me. The rest of them will grade automatically and they will post pretty much as soon as you finish it. Yes. Yep, that's what I do. So when you write a rough draft, unless you plagiarized or you forgot your works cited page, you get 100. So even if it's a terrible essay, well, let me caveat that. Okay, so if you write a good essay, if you write an essay that is complete, and I can tell that you didn't just give me a couple of sentences to turn in something with a works cited page and no signs of plagiarism, that's 100. Okay, but if you plagiarized without citation, you left off your works cited page, or you didn't finish, and it's clear that you didn't finish, you will get less than 100. That doesn't mean you'll get 100 on the final draft. I'd work very hard to grade those rough drafts, and then I will give you an estimated grade. So if you were to look at that rough draft, ignore all of the suggestions that I gave to you, what grade would I give you if you turn the same essay in for the final draft? I try to catch the more major issues before I focus in on the little things like commas. But there are, of course, there's some essays that are just so fantastically written that the only thing they need to fix is commas. And every once in a while, I had 2 students that did this last semester. They were fantastic writers. They turned in essays where I just had no suggestions, and I wasn't going to stress myself out with finding suggestions because they were so good. I just said, go ahead, turn this in as your final draft. I'll give you 100. Okay. So if you're just that kind of writer, it could happen. It doesn't happen often, but it could happen. But I always try to provide you links and suggestions, and I will write on the essay itself. So make sure you turn on that view, and then I'll write written comments in the comment box. I give you a ton of stuff. Anything else? But yeah, the welcome class is always my longest class. My other classes are usually about half this length. I do really appreciate y'all for coming. I cannot answer questions about opting out. honestly, because that is a district by district decision. Here in my district, we did not opt out. In other districts, they were allowed to opt out and only take a hit of like 0.1%. I don't know what's going to happen this summer. I think rules from this past school year roll over into this school year. There is an EOC for American literature. I can't answer that. I do know there is an EOC, and with this being an A-B course, if you are a public school student, you will take the EOC. If you are a public school student and you're supposed to take the EOC and you opt out based on your district's rules, that's not us. We have nothing to do with that because we're across the state. You cannot take the final. If you are supposed to take the EOC, that is the only thing you're supposed to take, and you do not take the final exam. If the final exam is required for you because you're homeschooled or a private school student, that's 20%, and you will obviously be required to take the final exam. But it's not like a backup test for the EOC. If you opt out of the EOC, that's it, you opt out. There's no those final. We report your grades to your school, and your school decides to do with them what they will decide. And COVID has made that very clear for us. So we did have students last year that decided to opt out because it counted for so little in their district, and they were allowed to opt out. But I had plenty of other students that went ahead and took it, and had it count. So that's a good question though. But the opting out has nothing to do with Georgia Virtual School. That is your local school district only. So your local school district may require you to take the exam, and some may not. So I can't answer that question because there's too many school districts and too many rules. All right, I will hang out for a couple more minutes. I've given you everything I can. If you have more, I'm happy to stay if you have more questions. What I usually do is take this recording, upload it to YouTube, and then upload it into Canvas. If for some reason you can't access YouTube, if you're using like a school Chromebook, let me know and I'll upload it in two different formats to try to get you to be able to open it up. But uploading it as YouTube means that you can play it right from your browser instead of downloading it or whatever. Okay, I'll hang out for a minute if you have questions, but you are free to go. I do appreciate you coming. I hope that you've learned something useful, even if you are a repeat student. Or, I mean, by repeat, I mean like you've been with us before. Yeah, no problem. I appreciate it. Thanks for your good questions. I'm going to be logging out here in a minute, so if you have more questions, be sure to text me. Yeah, you too. Yes. Yeah, because it could be something that happened to you and your experience of a tradition in your family. But that's going to be pretty much the only assignment. That's not true. There's a couple that can be in first person, and that's one of them. Don't ever write an essay in first person, though. That's the first thing I throw out. Yeah, no problem. Have a great rest of your day.